Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Pint Pals Podcast. If you want to support the podcast in other ways, be sure to check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/pintpals. If you choose to subscribe monthly, you can receive access to special videos, private Snapchats, discounted merch, as well as being toasted during each episode. And as always, subscribing to our Patreon is always appreciated but never expected. Thank you, we'll see you in the next episode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pint Pals Podcast. It is I, Lucas, and today I am here with
Nate.
And joining us as well, we have a very special guest from Parson's North Brewing Company, Seth. How you doing, Seth?
Doing well. How about you?
Good. So, Parson's North, we know that's right downtown in Columbus. Is that fair to say, downtown?
German Village
area?
Okay. Downtown,
yeah. I live on the outsides. I live in Hilliard, so.
Okay.
I actually
closer to downtown than Hilliard, yes.
I actually live just down the road. I live over here in Livingston, so.
Side of downtown, basically. You know, you go further north, you're definitely downtown. You go further east and north, you're downtown. But we're just kind of right on the outside of all of it.
It's in a good location, I'm gonna say. I like it.
Yeah. So, Seth, what do you do for Parsons?
I am the co-owner and brewer. I do some sales and some deliveries as well. But on a day-to-day basis, most of the time, I am working on brewing beer and packaging beer.
Sales and delivery. So, is that just a recent thing because of the situation we're in, or is that since you?
No, that was kind of always part of the plan. My business partner, he runs kind of the tap room side of things, and I run the brewery side of things, and then we both do sales and deliveries. We have a 10-barrel system. We have 7 10-barrel fermenters and 2 5-barrel fermenters, but we do a lot of lagers and sours and things that take a little bit longer. So as far as production goes, we've been able to kind of do the sales part of it ourselves. I was in sales for 15 years before I opened the brewery, so I definitely do enjoy the sales part of it. There probably will come a point where we're going to be focusing on bigger things and having somebody else do that stuff. But for the time being, we're both kind of filling a lot of roles right now. I do have an assistant brewer who's very good at taking a lot of the time-consuming work off my hands, so I can brew and also have time for sales and that kind of stuff too.
That's interesting. Going from sales to brewing, how did that come about?
Well, I got a homebrew kit for my birthday, and it was the perfect marriage of science and art. Ever since I was very young, I wanted to open a restaurant, and I kind of gave up on that dream because of how risky opening a restaurant is. But breweries tend to not fail like restaurants do. Definitely a much bigger upfront investment than most restaurants, but I started homebrewing and was winning competitions, and my son and all my friends were asking me when I was going to open up a brewery. So I was looking at opening up something on Parsons Avenue. I have kind of a family history connection there, and I live in the South Side and just fell in love with the area. And my business partner approached me. His friends were building this group of businesses called East Public, and I just looked at the people I was working with and the space I was going into, and the area and kind of the timing for the area, and I figured this is kind of my one opportunity to do this in my life. Not something I can do when I'm 60 or something like that as easily. I was actually studying actuarial science at OSU at the time when I decided to open the brewery, so I figured I can always go back to that whenever I need to, but my body will only let me do what I'm doing right now when I'm younger.
That's interesting. So how long have you guys been, how long has this, the brewery been around?
So we opened at the very end of 2018. We opened, it was December 26th 20th, I believe, 22nd maybe. Anyways, we weren't even brewing at the time. It was a very soft opening. We were just serving other people's beers, that kind of thing. And then by February, we were starting to get some of our own beers on tap. So our grand opening was April 20th of 2019. So we had been basically fully in business for, almost a year when the shutdown happened.
I think the first time we went there was August of.
I was going to say,
2019?
yeah, it was going to be 2019 because we
Just,
definitely didn't go last year. So.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's a nice venue. I really like it. It's really nice.
Oh yeah. Do we want to get started here with the first beer?
Yeah, let's dive in. Do you have any suggestion of what first beer we should try here?
Well, I figure we'd start with American Stout.
Okay.
It's the base for espresso stout, so we can see what it tastes like without and then with the coffee. And then, cap it all off with an Imperial. So a little backstory about this beer. I wanted to brew a stout that had all the, rich flavors of a stout, the roastiness, the coffee, the chocolate, the bittersweet kind of chocolate flavor to it. But I didn't want to brew a stout that you drink one and you're all weighed down. I don't want a stout that you can't have with a meal. And a good, thick, sweet stout is perfectly fine. That's not what this is. I want it to be balanced and not too overly aggressive without being sweet as well. So this is actually a blend of malts from Germany and the UK and the US. And most of the flavor that you're going to get from this is coming from Crisp brown malt. Crisp is a maltster in the UK. And their malt has this great dry roast coffee flavor to it.
What was that called again? I'm sorry, what was that called?
Crisp is the maltster, so the ones that make the malt, and just brown malt is what they call it. If you were to make like a very, very simple porter, you could use all brown malt and nothing else, and it would just be a basic classic porter. The other malt I use a lot of on this is called Carafa, and they have kind of 3 levels of roast. Carafa 2 is mostly what's in here. It's a German malt, and they what they do is they remove the hull from the barley before roasting it, and what that does is removes a lot of the like really acrid, strong, astringent kind of flavors from it. So you still get a lot of that depth and roast, but you don't have to balance it with a bunch of sugary malts to balance out that strong acrid flavor. And so because of that, I don't have a lot of caramel malt in this. So it doesn't have that sweet, thick, heavy kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to sit down, you want to drink 2 or 3 dark beers without feeling weighed down. This is a fantastic beer for it. Sells very well in restaurants for that reason, because you can drink it, with your food, and you can still keep eating plenty of food.
All right, ready for the first one?
Oh, absolutely. That smells delicious.
Thank you.
That is definitely a stout that's not going to weigh me down. I can tell right away.
It's not heavy.
It's very, very light mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting on that? I'm getting kind of like definitely that bitter flavor there. Almost like dark chocolate.
Yeah,
bitter.
yeah, that bittersweet dark chocolate is really what I'm going for in this beer.
I think that's a good way to describe it.
Where it's really like eating a really dark chocolate bar.
Oh yeah,
Without,
definitely.
Of course, the fat and the sugar to go with it.
Man, I enjoy this quite a bit. As soon as it gets cold outside, I stop drinking pretty much all of my lighter beers. I'll say that everything but stouts and porters is pretty much
You are a big fan of stouts.
Oh man.
Yeah, I definitely I enjoy a lot of different styles of beer, but stout was one of the first ones I fell in love with. When I first started drinking beer, craft beer was starting to take off for sure, but most of it was still just IPA. And so stout was kind of that other thing that some breweries made, that you could try and try these different styles and see what you liked and everything. And I definitely went through a phase where I drank a whole lot of stout. I really fell in love with a good balanced stout, but imperial stouts, especially the Dragon's Milk from New Holland Brewing.
Yeah,
and
that's a good one.
That's what the imperial stout we're going to try later is kind of inspired by. The closest comparison to it.
Biggest thing I like, and you mentioned it before, is that this could easily, you could have multiple of these with a meal, and it's not gonna really take away from the meal at all.
It's not great. It's 6.5% ABV, so it's not super low ABV.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna have one and it's gonna shut you down. It's not super low ABV, but the big thing is it's not like heavy and sugary, and like you drink one and you're like, okay, that was good, but now I want to move on to something else.
Yeah.
I'd say that this is a good campfire beer, honestly.
Oh yeah,
I get behind that.
Oh,
especially by campfire, this is delicious as it warms up. The aromas and flavors really open up. I really try to brew all of my beer so that whether it's cold and carbonated or flat and warm, it's still an enjoyable beer. If you set your glass down for 30 minutes and forget about it and come back, it's really important to me to have quality processes set up so that there aren't these off flavors that kind of come out when there's not something to hide them, whether it's temperature or hops or something like that. I really like my beers to get better, as they age. And that's one of the reasons why I don't filter any of my beers. So all the beers that you drink that we have are going to have live active yeast in them. I don't use anything to force them out. I don't use anything to filter them out or anything like that. So they will kind of age and change a little bit over time, with the exception of IPAs. For the most part, I really love how they age and taste. With the East Coast and our West Coast IPA and our Midwest session, those, I think, for about a month or two, I think almost get better. There are some hot flavors that kind of drop out, but other flavors kind of balance in there and taste really good. The New England IPA would be the exception. We're not really putting any big amounts of hops in the boil. It's pretty much all dry hopped, and so there are a lot of very delicate flavors there. And that one is still very good after a month or two, but it doesn't improve in flavor as much like the other beers.
I'm gonna let some sit to the side and
get
a little warmer
that's a good idea.
as we go. And because there's been a few beers in the past where we've noticed that later on when we go to drink it, it's got a completely different feel to it. So I'm intrigued by that.
So I guess we can do the espresso stout next.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, take a break in between, or
before we do move on to it. So on the podcast here, we do have we have a rating system. We call it our PROST system.
Okay.
And so it's an acronym. So the P stands for probably won't try again. The R is regrettable. The O is optimistic. The S is for satisfactory. I always want to say super. And then the T stands for terrific.
Okay.
And so that's sort of our way of rating beers on here. Do you want to give a rating for this one?
You can go.
You want to go? Okay. So I'm gonna give it. Let me take one more sip here. I'm gonna give it an S. Satisfactory. I really do like it. It's like to me, it feels like just like a base stout in a way. What I would imagine my first taste of a stout would taste like, and I enjoy it. I like the fact that I could drink it easily with a meal, and it wouldn't take away from that. So yeah.
I am also going to give it. I'm going to give it a high S. Just because, like you said, I mean, this is a very, very solid stout. I'm a big fan of dark chocolate. I usually go for that over regular chocolate any day of the week. But I'm excited to try the other ones with the adjuncts, because this is just a great platform that I think, and I'm excited for the rest
to build off of it.
Yeah, to build off of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, definitely just for a stout, just to have as like a sipper beer, especially because, to be completely honest, all the stouts and all the stuff that I have in my cabinet of beer is all like high ABV, bourbon barrel aged, and like I've got all the crazy ones in there. But this is something that I definitely plan on having in the future, and which brings me into, before we get into the next one, you guys, I mean, with everything going on right now, what are your are you guys doing? Are you doing local delivery? Are you doing curbside pickup? With, I guess, COVID going on right now still.
Yep. So we don't have any inside seating open at the moment. We are getting an outside enclosure installed in part of the patio. So that'll give us some seats in the hopefully very near future. And obviously, we have a huge patio and green space that's just awesome to hang out in the spring and summer. So once the weather gets nice, we'll have that rocking. For now, Wednesday through Sunday, we have curbside pickup. And you can come in and pick it up or take it out to your car. You can order it online and everything. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we have delivery as well.
Oh, nice.
I know sometimes you guys usually have a food truck as well. Is that just during the summer?
Not so much, since we don't have people hanging out inside anymore. Early on, we still had some food trucks that hung out, and there's one, a burrito taco truck that's been coming on, I think, Thursdays. Sometimes they won't be there, sometimes they're not. So it's always best to check the website or check our Facebook posts. But yeah, when we're open, with patio seating, we have a food truck pretty much every night, and it's usually a different food truck every night.
This is a question that popped up in my mind, and we never really asked this before, but normally, how many different beers do you guys have on tap in the brewery? I know I've never asked that to the other brewers, and it's an interesting.
So we have we started off with 12 taps, and then we added 4 more. Of those 4, when we were open, typically one of them was a root beer that I made. One is our hard cider. And 1 or 2 are nitro as well. So we play around with different, nitro beers and things like that. Not just the stout, obviously, goes great with nitro, but we'll do a nitro. We had a nitro mango peach sour lager, and nitro ESB and stuff like that.
Well, what was the sour again? You said it was a mango what?
So I do a mango peach sour lager. That'll be back this summer. Very popular.
I'm really intrigued by that.
So basically, when I first made the sour lager, I wanted to prove to people that said they don't like sours that they could like a sour. And I was honestly going for a glass of Perrier with a squeeze of lemon in it. Very light, little bit of citrus, sour to it. Nothing crazy, just refreshing and like something you could just chug if you wanted to. Not that I would encourage people to chug beer, of course. So I started with that base, and it turned out really good. And one day I took some peaches from my backyard and just like squeezed them into my glass of beer, and it was the most amazing thing ever. And so I tried to find a good product to do that with. And I tried, peach purees and frozen peaches and peach juices and all these different things, and nothing was right. But I found this mango peach juice. I use 100% juice or fruit. I don't use fruit flavorings or additives or preservatives or anything like that. So I'm very picky about the type of things that I want to use, and it just matched perfectly. So it's basically going to be like a Berliner Weiss, but the base is a Pilsner, and I use Pilsner yeast with lactobacillus, and it's this crisp and tart and clean beer, and then you put the mango peach juice in there, and it's just this wonderful thing. This beer, as with pretty much all my beers, there's some exceptions here and there, I really go for subtlety. Yes, there is mango peach in it. You're not going to drink it, and it's not going to taste like you're drinking mango peach juice.
Gotcha.
It's going to have a balance. You're going to taste the Pilsner and that tartness and the mango peach, and they're all going to be kind of balanced in there. That's one thing that for some of my beers can be disappointing for some people, but most people really appreciate. Some people are looking for that beer that doesn't taste like beer. And that's generally not what I'm going for. I want a balance of things. I want the beer to taste like it should, but then you can also add these other flavors in there with the beer, not on top of the beer.
Brewing's so fascinating.
It is.
It
It is
really
a lot of
is.
fun.
Oh man,
You need to
you're gonna
come
make me
over.
switch professions now. Sorry, I'm a huge fan of sours, so I'm very intrigued by it. You said that's seasonal.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely more of a summer beer.
Okay.
Last year was kind of crazy, and the year before that was our first year, so we're still kind of figuring all this out.
Yeah.
But we did a Flemish red for the late fall, early winter of 2019. So most of it was not served through our taps, obviously, and we ended up bottling a lot of that, and you'll see that around town. We are also getting closer and closer to bottling a sour that we aged in barrels for 16, 18 months with cherry juice from Michigan. And that's going to be like a sour lover sour. The mango peach sour lager, anybody can drink it. And it is definitely still a sour. This barrel aged sour, our Flemish red, are deep, funky, very sour sours. So if you're a sour lover, those will definitely be, I think, more your style. I love Flemish red. If I had to choose one beer to drink for the rest of my life, it probably would be Flemish red beer.
Huh.
It always hits the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You have to keep an eye out for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the one who does most of the beer.
He's the shopper.
Okay.
I do most of the beer shopping.
I just drink whatever he puts in front of me.
Are we ready to move on to the second one now?
Let's move on.
This is the one that I was the most excited for. Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited for all of the beers that we're doing today. But after having the coffee Kolsch on last episode with the Columbus Ale Trail, which you guys are a part of, so so next time you go in, you decide to go in there, get your passport stamped, or you can pick up a passport there. Yeah,
that's true.
That's right.
You can pick them up at the breweries.
So this one, the coffee and the way I use the coffee is a little bit different from the coffee Kolsch. The coffee Kolsch is made with light roasted Kenya beans from Upper Cup Coffee, which is just up Parsons Avenue from us. The espresso American Stout is made with espresso beans, and I use very coarsely ground beans for this, whereas with the coffee Kolsch, I keep them whole. So you're going to get a little more actual caffeine out of this one, but also more roasty flavor, whereas the coffee Kolsch is closer to like a creamy, almost coffee ice cream, smooth, cold brew kind of experience. So again, same beer we had before, but that coffee just brings it in another direction. You're still going to get some of that bittersweet chocolate on the finish, but all of a sudden it's like this just solid, nice coffee flavor leading up to that.
I'm getting just like the
coffee.
cold brewed coffee
Yeah.
right on the nose. Oh man.
Let's go for it.
All right. That is delicious.
It's very good.
If
Yes.
you're a coffee drinker, I highly recommend this one. And I have 1 or 2 cups a day of coffee, so I mean this is.
Are you a hot coffee person or a cold?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a well. That depends.
Depends.
Yeah, like if it's 100 degrees outside and I wake
Fair-
up at
fair
6
enough.
o'clock in the morning and
Fair
I don't
Well,
want.
even during the winter though, I'm drinking iced coffee. I'm
No,
an iced
no.
coffee person.
No.
So
I mix it up. My go-to drink at Starbucks when Alexis and I feel like treating ourselves is that new Irish cold brew coffee that they have.
I saw somebody at the bank having one of those.
But this is that cold brew coffee with more coffee, and then it just mellows out, and I'm still getting that like chocolate bitterness at the end there. This is.
I like that. I like that a lot.
What's it say here? 6.5 too. So I mean 6.5 as well as the same as the first one. So
the other one's 6.5.
Yeah. I mean this is. I mean this is still one that I would. I feel like I could pair this with meals, or I could dessert. I don't want to call this like a dessert beer, but this is one that I would have like as after dinner.
Yeah. As long as you're okay with the caffeine keeping you up a little bit longer.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine with me.
I mean, usually my nights, now that I'm older, my nights end after like 3 beers. So
now that I'm older.
Now that I'm older. I like that the chocolatey taste stays longer than the previous one, the American Stout. I noticed. Man, I really do like this.
Now, when you have this one, do you prefer it as more of like a room temperature, or do you prefer it chilled?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the moment, I suppose. This one really opens up and gets smoother as it warms up. So I've had it a lot. I know what it tastes like, but if I was going to serve it to someone and then they're going to have 1 pint and judge the whole thing on that one and never have another one again, I would definitely say let that can warm up a little bit first and pour it in there. Pour it in there and let it warm up. I'm okay if it warms up a little bit, gets a little bit flatter. These beers are not supposed to be highly carbonated anyways. I don't like to carbonate my beers too much. Carbonation, I feel, is like salt in food. A little bit's nice, it enhances it. Sure, if you get a pretzel, it's going to have salt all over it. That's part of the flavor, just like if you have a saison, it's really carbonated. That's part of the saison. But really getting the right beers with the right amount of carbonation and not overdoing it is important to me, to make sure that the actual flavors that are in there are the ones that are coming out.
I have set mine off to the side to go back to at the end.
Make sure you know the difference between them, because they're all going to look the same.
That's all right. That's all right. I got first beer, second beer, the third here.
That's good. Do you want to give that one a rating?
Yeah.
For it. I'll let you go first this time.
I'm gonna give this one a T. I think that this beer is outstanding, and I can't wait to have more of it. I've been on a big coffee beer kick, I guess, but this is definitely one of the better ones that I've had. I'm more than happy to say that. The coffee flavors up front don't overwhelm, and then it just like mellows out into that bittersweet chocolate, which you saw in the first one. So
yeah. I think I'm going to go with a low T for this one. Compared to the other coffee ones that we've had, I do like the aspect of having that chocolatey taste to it as well. Honestly, what you said is honestly how I feel about it. Starts off really good with coffee, and then it mellows out to that chocolate, leaving a nice taste in your mouth. Yeah, low T for me.
All right. Yeah.
You want to dive in for the last one?
Sure. We can go straight into that one.
I just want to say I really like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It's nice.
We had an artist design this. It was posters and things for our 1-year anniversary, which obviously did not happen because of coronavirus. So, but yeah, we have a bunch of shirts and hoodies, and we have the posters still, and it was pretty cool.
Is there a story behind the bear on your shirt, or?
A little bit, yeah. My business partner is kind of represented by the bear in some ways. When we first started, we also loved finding pictures of animals drinking beer. Thought it was hilarious. We decided not to go that direction. You know, we don't want someone to take it the wrong way, and think you should be feeding,
Yeah,
alcohol
there's people
animals
out
or
there that
something.
will, so
We
understandable.
came across this story about this bear out west, and there's this regional beer out there called Rainier, named after Mount Rainier, Ranier. And this bear comes along a campsite, and they have, I don't know, something like Miller or Budweiser or something like that, and then Rainier. And the bear tries one of the Budweiser, doesn't like it, and then drinks an entire case of Rainier beer, and then wanders off drunk. And they start to have issues with this bear looking for beer in people's campsites. So they trap him with Rainier beer. They put beer into a trap and trap him so they can move him further away from everybody. So we thought that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, my business partner also has been known to wear a bear suit on Halloween and such. So kind of a few reasons for that. We also ended up with a nice big bear drinking a beer painted on the side of our cold storage, which you can see from the lounge side of our brewery. So if you go in the brewery, look for that bear, and there's this just big bear with a picnic tap in one hand and a beer in the other.
That's awesome. That's a good thing you asked.
Yeah, and I was curious.
I
was like, oh, I wonder what the bear is for.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into this one. And do you have bottle opener?
Do I have a bottle?
Okay,
Yes.
Good. It's like mine's somewhere over there. I'm gonna look for it.
So this one is definitely one of my favorite beers that I make. Holds a special place in my heart. When I first started brewing, I brewed my first batch of this after about 3 months of brewing. I entered it in my first competition. I won Best in Show.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So this is a big imperial stout. It's a stout, but it's nothing like the American stout. It's big and it's heavy, and you're not going to drink 3 of these with a meal, that's for sure. We have a lot of different variants of this one. This bottle, you'll notice, it'll say barrel aged, but not bourbon barrel.
Okay.
The reason for that is when we get the bourbon barrels from Watershed, I immediately fill them with imperial stout, and that is our bourbon barrel imperial stout. That takes out a lot of bourbon flavor from the barrel. The next one we put in, it gets some, but very little. It's going to get more oakiness from the barrel. So we don't want people to think they're going to get this and it's going to have this like big in-your-face bourbon flavor. It wasn't a barrel that once held bourbon, but another beer was in there before that. So it's still going to get some of that nice aging to it, a little bit of the sherry quality. And then we use cacao nibs. I use a blend that comes from 3 different countries. And I really love the cacao flavor that comes out of it. I'm a big fan of Oaxaca, Mexico, and they love roasting cacao down there, and they grind it fresh and, make their hot chocolate with it and everything. And the beans are so much like coffee beans in that respect. And they have all these great nutty flavors that you don't usually get out of chocolate. And so the blend that I use, I'm really trying to get that, like, yes, it's chocolate, but it's more of a nutty chocolate than most people are used to.
What?
This is So honestly, I don't think I've had.
I was gonna say
barrel aged anything. Honestly.
That's not true.
Well, I mean, okay. So besides Utopia, this is what reminded me of it. Utopia.
I was gonna say we had.
You know, barrel aged. I mean, I've had Kentucky barrel aged, but I don't count that. I don't count that.
We had Big Bad Baptist.
Did we have that here?
Didn't we have that on the show? Just the base one?
Oh, we did have the base one, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're right. We did have the base
none
one.
of the fancy ones.
Okay. You're right. No, when I smell this, though, I get Utopia from it.
Do you?
The same kind of smell.
I've never tried that one, but I've heard things about it.
Oh, yeah. This guy right here, he had some because his father-in-law, he's a collector of the craft beers,
Yeah.
and Nate had it before he knew anything about craft beer. It was like, oh, there's
Here
beer.
we are drinking from these little, just these small little glasses, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I don't know how much more about this, but
he sends me a picture of it. Yeah, I like this one, and I'm like, oh,
Really
you
good.
son of a gun!
At the time, didn't know.
You didn't realize what it was.
But I do love the smell.
Yeah, no, this is a very pleasant smell. I'm almost getting, I don't know, I may be the only one getting this, but like a black licorice smell to it. Is that just me?
The yeast gets a little stressed as it goes up to these higher gravity beers, and it does start to throw off a little bit more aromas and flavors, esters that you wouldn't normally get out of the yeast strain. I don't get that per se. I often get a little bit of cinnamon, and we do a toasted coconut and cinnamon version of this as well. But I often get cinnamon out of it, even though I don't put any in it.
I'll go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
Oh my. That's
really good. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is
That's
rich
really good.
and chocolatey.
Yes. Wow.
It's dangerous. It'll
And you were
get you in
kidding.
trouble.
Yes. That's
yeah,
what,
that's-
10.5? Is that what it says?
10.5, yeah.
Woo.
That'll sneak up on you.
That is.
It's a good thing you live here.
Oh man, yeah, dude, it just goes right. Be careful. Wow, like it goes down so smooth.
That is rich, pleasant.
for how high of ABV that is. That is,
Yeah.
it goes down with very little burn, and it's just ooh.
Very
This is another
Very
one
little
that
burn.
let this
Hey,
one
there is
warm up,
some.
let it open up, and the chocolate is going to come out even more as it does so.
Mm.
Now, this is the one you said that you won the award for?
Yeah. So I entered it into the Barley's competition, and they were, I don't know, maybe 80 or 100 entrants. I can't remember how many, but this is one that's judged. The final judging is done by local brewers in town. So these are people that brew for Columbus Brewing Company and Seventh Son and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the exact ones that were there that year, but they choose the final winner, and that final winner then gets to brew that beer the next year at Barley's. So this is the first beer I entered in a competition, and the first beer I brewed on a professional level as well, because I got to help them brew it there at Barley's.
Nice.
Another winner there is the guy that runs Weasel Boy out in Zanesville, and then I believe Two Tones owner might have also won Best in Show there. So there's, I think, 2, 3, maybe even 4 people that have won that competition. And then these homebrewing competitions are a big part of why we have this awesome craft beer scene in the United States, because these people were brewing beers that no other professional brewer was brewing in the United States, and developing all these styles in the safety of their own home, where if they fail, they don't lose thousands of dollars, but they can develop these styles that are really cool, and then they can take them, into the big scale. You get to go to these competitions and get all this feedback from people, and sometimes it's like, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. Sometimes it's like, oh, that's really helpful. Sometimes it's, I love this beer and I make it, and obviously nobody else does. So
Mm-hmm.
I know not to make it for other people. But I entered a lot of competitions, and that was really, really helpful to my development, I think, as a brewer. And making sure I knew, what was working and what wasn't.
This is outstanding. I'm
I'm
really
definitely a
like
big fan of this.
This is
This
really
is
good.
man.
I can also already feel it. I can also already feel it.
Yep.
Now, do you do any other variants of this, or is this?
Yeah.
You said the coconut and yeah.
For the most part, the bourbon barrel aged we leave alone. It's got a great bourbon flavor. I don't want to add anything to kind of mess with that or cover that up. So we have the cacao nib here. We've done. Let's see here. I think we've done a coffee version of it, but not in bottles or anything like that. And then the other big really popular one right now is our toasted coconut and toasted cinnamon version of it. That one is just really, really nice. Even if you don't like coconut, the cinnamon, it has a big cinnamon presence, so the cinnamon really balances out the coconut really well. Mm-hmm. And that one is just, if you want a great dessert beer, that's it right there.
Is that on tap right now?
We have it in bottles. But
I guess that makes.
And it's year round.
Open. We do crowlers over the beers right now, but we don't do crowlers of that one. So that one is in bombers in our tap room and around town as well. You'll see it on shelves.
Nice.
If you don't, ask for it.
Is this available year round?
This is probably something you're talking about, the cacao nib.
Mm-hmm.
The cacao nib we'll probably do on and off, year round. Imperial Stout of course slows down in sales in the summer, so we won't focus on it as much. But fall leading into the holiday season is probably where we're going to do most of our Imperials and our infused Imperials as well.
Do you want to go ahead and give this one a rating?
I mean,
you're excited about this one.
I really enjoy this. The only downside is to things like this is that they are 10 ABV, so you can only you're limited to only having one.
You're not.
No,
you're not.
You're not limited. Okay, you're right. You're not limited, but if you want to not hate yourself later, you only want one or two.
Bottle to share with somebody for sure.
Yeah, I would love to get, and I'm definitely going to get a bottle of this for next gathering with friends or family for sure. And it does make a nice shareable size and everything. I'm gonna go with a high T for terrific. It's phenomenal. I don't give a lot of T's out, but man, I honestly haven't been. There's been very few beers that I've been right off the bat I'm just wow, and I'm just totally taken back by. Honestly, the first one I think was with Christmas was the Three Hose beer. Or no, it was the Citra Noel. I think was the first one I was really wowed by, and it's kind of caught me off guard.
And this is also, I'm very surprised about this. When Seth, you said you wanted to do stouts, I was like, okay, I don't have a problem with stouts. Nate here he is not a stout drinker by any means of the word.
That's something that we seek to do is make really approachable, solid versions of different beers. As I kind of explored different styles, there were definitely certain styles that I didn't think I liked until I had the legit European version of them. Something that American breweries love to do, and it's the reason why we have IPAs and the whole world loves our IPAs. We love to take what makes a beer unique and amp that thing up. And it can definitely make for a unique experience. This is a Belgian beer, and it has intense amounts of yeast character in it. It's so different, but then if you get a Belgian beer from Belgium, sure, that yeast character is there, but it's balanced with all the other flavors. And I really seek to always go for balance, and never go for one flavor that's just dominating everything else. And that way you can come to our place, and I make so many different beers. You can try all these different beers and know that it's an approachable version of that style. I'm not watering things down. I'm using the proper yeast and the proper techniques, the proper ingredients, all that stuff. I'm just trying to make it very balanced and approachable at the same time.
And honestly, this is this is that like like Nate said it. I'm also gonna give this a high tea. This is very, very pleasant, very smooth. All of the flavors are there, and I mean, this is
Yeah.
yeah.
I just imagine sitting down at, I mean maybe a campfire, but at a table, honestly, just sitting here and just drinking it with a couple of friends, and just make a really, really good session. Honestly, this is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is I've thoroughly enjoyed everything that we've had today.
Yeah,
that is for sure. And there have been times on this show where I've been like, I'm not drinking that again.
Definitely been there.
But and to be completely honest, I've gotten a few of your beers when I've been out and about shopping. I do most of my shopping at the Perfect Pour Beverage Company in Dublin because I'm right there.
Very, very supportive of us.
Yeah, and that's where I got the coffee Kolsch. But I mean, this was the second time I was at the brewery was picking this stuff up. And man, I don't even, because we went summer of 19.
It was around August, or maybe if anything July.
Yeah.
But
this is,
yeah,
I don't even remember what I had.
Honestly, I don't know. I think it might have been. I think they had. I think like IPAs. There was quite a bit of IPAs originally at the time.
But this is very good, and I look forward to having more. And when you guys open back up, I will probably be there either day 1 or 2.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, no, I'm so ready to,
be done.
Be done.
Get back to normal.
Back to normal. That's
slowly getting there.
Getting there slower. No, but this is a high tea. This is very, very nice. Very well balanced. All of the flavors are there, and it's like you said with how you like to have one flavor then another flavor when you were talking about the mango peach. I felt like it showed through in the stouts as well, that it wasn't just like in the face with the roasted malts.
True.
Or just like I've had some stouts and they say it's a chocolate stout and it just tastes like you're drinking a liquid chocolate bar. But all of these, I mean, you can like pinpoint when those flavors hit, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to move on to beers of the night, or?
Yeah. I'm gonna lie, I feel like they might be similar, but we'll find out. I guess.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
So at the end, we do like to just rate our beers for the night that we've had. Starting with not our least favorite, but I guess out of the 3 we've had, I guess, I don't know, how do you describe that?
I mean, I wouldn't say least favorite, but
most
compared to the others, this one falls in third compared to the others. Yes. Yeah. Well, then I guess for third for me, I'm gonna go with American Stout. And I'm actually gonna go ahead with my second one as well, just compared to the coffee one. I'm more of a coffee person. I think stouts. We were talking about how I don't like stouts. I think coffees have really been a big thing for me, and when I get stouts, I really enjoy the coffee ones you've been picking out. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm still trying to get that taste for just a base stout, but yeah, I think I'm gonna put it as third.
Third,
yep.
I'm going to do the same. The only reason it's the third is because I just love the other 2.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But it is. I mean, just to piggyback off of what you said, this just.
It's hard having adjuncts compared to like something that's just like a base core thing. It's hard to really compare there.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love the German beers, and honestly, like this right here, this American Stout, I've said it before on other episodes and I'm going to say it constantly. I know that. Like such things as, I guess, simple beers with like the Pilsners and the lagers. Those are like the true testament of a brewer. And like, because you can't hide your mistakes in those. This one right here, I feel like would be a beer that you could find a mistake in if you were to have it. But this was executed excellent. And I mean, I had it sitting aside, so
I honestly, I was just thinking we did set these aside to try them when they were a bit more warmer.
Yeah.
So
and
I should probably actually do that.
I do love adjuncts, and I do love, I guess, just the regular beers. Like I don't need a pastry stout every time I drink a beer. But
so, with the American stout, this is the American stout. Yeah, it definitely, since it's been sitting, it has much more of a roastier smell.
Yeah,
Do you notice that?
I get more the roastiness as it warmed up, and I enjoy that quite a bit.
You get a little bit of a biscuit kind of flavor to it as well.
Yes,
as it opens up.
Ooh. I should have actually tried these before I went with my rating. Hold on, let's try the other coffee one real quick here.
But I think it's an excellent base beer, and it's good to know that that's one of your core beers.
Yep. Yeah, we really try to have a variety of beers offered all the time. It helps, especially, there are a lot of places to really appreciate this beer because, they might have 5 or 10 taps. They want one tap with a dark beer all the time, but they don't want it to be some crazy expensive, flavored with this, that, and the other super heavy kind of thing. They just want a dark beer to offer people who like dark beer, and then that's what it does. It fits the bill. It is just a good dark beer if you like dark beer. It's not going to be like you're going to try it and you'd be like, oh my God, strawberries and chocolate and vanilla and all these things. It's just, if you like dark beer, it's a great dark beer.
Yeah.
If you feel in the mood for a stout, it's a great stout. You can pick it up and enjoy it. And then, if you want those extra things, we have those extra things as well. But I always want to make sure that I get the base recipe first, get that down, offer it, show people that, this is what we have and it works well. And then you can add things, on top of it to make it a little bit more special.
Yeah. And I think that's probably, that's definitely going to bring me into my number 2, which was the espresso American stout. And I mean, just having that coffee there really just, I just love coffee beers, and it was full of fantastic coffee flavor, and then it just mellowed out into the chocolate.
Which I guess is our third is the most obvious one, which is the Cow Nib,
the barrel aged Imperial Stout. This is cheers to you.
Yes.
I mean, this is excellent, and I'm glad that you decided to do this one on the show today.
Yes.
Well, January is a good month to feature dark beers for sure. This is when it's cold outside and people love to cozy up to a good dark beer. Obviously, we're still doing a lot of great lighter beers right now too for people. We just introduced a winter wheat. One of our most popular beers is our grapefruit wheat. It's again very subtle in the grapefruit. It has more of a grapefruit kind of floral essence to it. We juice and zest 8 cases of grapefruits for it. During the summer, if it's under 90 degrees, it's our number 1 seller on the patio. If it's over 90 degrees, Mexican lager with a lime or jalapeno. It's our number 1 seller on the patio. But otherwise, grapefruit wheat is. However, for the months of December and January and February, sales of the grapefruit wheat slow down. And I don't want someone to get a pint of it from a keg that's 3 months old, that's been sitting with half a keg's worth of headspace, and a lot of the grapefruit is gone at that point. But we do use that as our basically our yeast builder for other beers that we have. We use the same yeast for our East Coast IPA, our Midwest Session, our American Stout, our wheat beers, our English ale. We use Kolsch yeast for our Kolsch, and lager yeast, Mexican lager yeast for our Mexican lager, and that kind of stuff. But so we wanted to have another wheat beer that we could offer that maybe had a little bit of a different lean to it. So I developed a winter wheat recipe, and it has bitter curacao orange peel as opposed to the sweet orange peel that's in our grapefruit wheat.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to have this bitterness that doesn't come from the hops. It's really unique and interesting and nice. And then twice the coriander that we put into the grapefruit wheat as well, and then of course no grapefruit. So it's just a fantastic beer. It's a little bit less expensive. It's $10 a 4-pack instead of $11 a 4-pack for 60-ounce cans. And then coming up, we're going to have our West Coast IPA back in the next week or two here. And today I brewed Irish lager, like I was saying earlier. So we'll have that in about 2 months or so. We take our time with our beers. Like I said, we don't filter the beers. So we have to take our time a little bit more, let them basically the yeast kind of do its thing and settle out on its own, as opposed to forcing it out before it's ready. You get a better product that lasts longer, but it takes a little bit longer. And when we lager beers, we lager them properly with lager yeast. We don't make a fest beer and call it a fest beer when it's really not. So another thing that I guess I should mention is our water. Being on the southeast side of town, we're all served by an aquifer as opposed to surface water. So our water is incredibly consistent from day to day. It doesn't change with runoff or seasons or whatever the farmers are putting on their fields or anything like that. So we don't filter our water. We design all of our beers around our water so that all of our beers are unique to Columbus, Ohio. That's one of the things that, as you start to dive into the history of beer and, well, why is the Czech Pilsner, so great? How did that become what it was? It's because of their soft water. And why did the Viennese have to develop the Vienna lager? Well, they had hard water, and so they couldn't make a good light beer, so they made a maltier beer. And I just loved how all these people adapted to the water that they had, as opposed to trying to change the water into something else. So this idea of filtering out all the flavor and adding back in different, chemicals and things to make it taste like water from here, there, or the other. Like I want my water to taste like my water, so that my beer tastes like it's Columbus, Ohio beer. Yes, my Kolsch is very authentic, and people from Köln will enjoy it as a Kolsch. But there's no Kolsch and Köln that will ever taste like mine, because they're not getting their water from Columbus, Ohio.
Honestly, never thought about the water. I've never thought about different breweries and what they do with their water. So that's really interesting.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. Like, I've never thought about that.
Yeah, and it's also pretty cool to just. I mean, I don't want to insult anybody. I don't want to take it the wrong way, but I'm not from Columbus originally. I'm not from Ohio originally. I'm from a couple hours north of New York City, and I moved out here in 2012 to go to school. And I kind of
whereabouts near the Catskills?
In the Catskills, yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
What town?
I'm sorry?
I don't know where that is.
What town?
What town?
Yeah.
Ellenville.
Okay. I lived in Mount Tremper.
All right.
And, you know Glen Tonchi?
I'm sorry?
Glen Tonchi. It's a big estate in that area.
It sounds familiar, yeah.
I was a recording engineer right after high school. I worked at a recording studio up in the Catskills there, so I lived there.
Oh, okay. That's
beautiful,
awesome.
Beautiful area. I love it there.
Crazy.
Actually, I think, was it Ellenville Liquidators? Have you heard?
Yes, that's familiar, yeah.
There was also a Kingston Liquidators.
Kingston's where I bought my car, so.
Kingston's where my son was born.
Oh, hey, look at this. Look at this.
Do people actually live in New York? I didn't realize that was a real thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Kingston did have a lot of IBM employees. IBM closed, unfortunately.
Yes.
And they all went somewhere else, but
we might know this same person then, because I was in the Boy Scouts, and the leader of one of the troops right outside of Kingston, he was an IBM employee.
Okay.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, some of them hung around, and a lot of them left. But
yeah.
Kingston was the original capital.
Yes.
Of the state of New York.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Now we're having an upstate New York history lesson. I was not expecting. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was not expecting to have this. But what I meant to say was like people from Columbus like love this city, and to have that, I don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of this city as well. Alexis and I have set up.
Committed now.
I'm committed now. I'm a Blue Jackets fan, so. But having that using the water that's from Columbus, I guess, or making the beer that like you're not going to have it anywhere else. Like it comes from Columbus, and I think that's a fantastic just little
that is really cool
part to have that's definitely going to set you apart from everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic alone. All right. So at the end of each show, we do just a short cheers section where we basically thank whoever. So
yeah. Well, our first cheers will be thanks to you, Seth, for doing this with us, as well as Parsons North Brewing Company.
Yes,
we do really appreciate it for providing the beers, and the camaraderie for it.
Yeah, and coming on the show as well.
Yeah,
very much appreciate that.
That's a great. So
yeah,
so cheers.
So here's to you, Seth. You got anybody else you want to?
Not that I can really think of, honestly.
I was gonna thank Cheryl from last week's episode.
Oh yeah, from last week's episode as well.
Coming on and
Columbus Ale Trail. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
another cheers as well for that.
Cheryl.
And you want to do the last cheers for?
Oh, just for in general. Yeah. I want to appreciate all those listeners who are out there, those who either through Spotify, through YouTube. Are we on Apple yet? Still not on Apple yet, but eventually we'll be there. We do appreciate your continued support for all those listeners. Without you guys, we really would have no one to speak our minds to and talk about beer to. So we appreciate you being willing to listen and go on this journey with us as we experience beers throughout Ohio as well as other neighboring states. So, cheers.
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 I guess we should ask, do you have anybody you would like to cheer to? Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely give a shout out to all of our big fans. This past year has obviously been really rough for everybody in the industry. And they stepped up and supported us in so many ways, whether it was, tagging us on Instagram posts or Facebook posts or, giving us great check-ins on Untapped, ordering so much beer, delivery and pickup and all of our swag and wearing our shirts proudly. Definitely a huge thank you to all of them. And a thank you to all of our staff who, stepped up and we had a good thing going before all this, and then we had to kind of shut that down and rethink things and go in a completely different direction. And they all did that with all the energy they had and positive attitude. So big cheers to them as well.
Cheers. I'll let you close us out here.
All right. You have any other announcements coming up? Like any events that you guys are having over at the brewery? I mean, with COVID going on, it hasn't turned that much. But
I probably should say something, but nothing comes to mind. Keep up, look out for our new beers right now. Actually, we have a really good chili lime Mexican lager.
Ooh.
It's our Mexican lager with jalapenos, toasted anchos, fire roasted poblanos, and fire roasted hatch chilies. Lime zest and coriander as well, and it's not too spicy. It just tastes amazing, and we're selling it right now with our Bloody Mary mix, so you can do a michelada with it, and they are very, very tasty.
No, that does sound good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely should give that a try. All right. Well, thank you, Seth, for coming on again, and
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. And we'll see everybody next week.
Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Pint Pals Podcast. If you want to support the podcast in other ways, be sure to check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/pintpals. If you choose to subscribe monthly, you can receive access to special videos, private Snapchats, discounted merch, as well as being toasted during each episode. And as always, subscribing to our Patreon is always appreciated but never expected. Thank you, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.